Mr. Chairman.
The senator from Illinois.
Mr. President, I remember sitting in a House Oversight Committee hearing years ago on the Flint water crisis. At the time, my oldest daughter, Abigail, was just a year old. I remember looking out into the audience and seeing just a hand holding a baby bottle up from the middle of a crowd in that hearing room. That baby bottle looked exactly like the one that my own baby drank out of. It's a little bottle with a pink top. But unlike my daughter's bottle, the water in this one was brown, a muddy, murky brown. I couldn't, and all these years later, I still can't begin to imagine what it would have been like to have to drink that water while I was pregnant, or to have no choice but to give it to my baby because the system that I trusted to provide my family with clean, safe drinking water had failed me. But that kind of nightmare remains the everyday reality for far, far too many parents across this country. It's been 7 years since the leaders of the city of Flint tried to save a few dollars by swapping out its drinking water supply from Detroit's system to the Flint River, setting off a chain of events that poisoned nearly 9,000 kids in just 18 months. But the damage inflicted on that community will never go away. And while Flint was a tragedy, it was not an anomaly. According to both the EPA and CDC, there is no known safe level of lead in a child's blood. Yet, more than 6 million homes continue to get water from lead service lines, including in my own home state of Illinois, which has more known lead service lines than any other state in the country. And despite lead service lines being banned nearly 35 years ago, as of 2019, roughly 500,000 children under the age of 6 still had elevated levels of lead in their blood, something that can cause permanent brain damage. And lead is just one of the many issues that communities struggle with every day due to our outdated and dilapidated water systems. But instead of working to address these known issues, the federal government's share of capital spending in the water sector fell from 63% in 1977 to a meager 9% in 2017. And now, our dwindling federal and state investments into our water infrastructure are allowing countless Americans to be exposed to pollutants, whether it's from taking a sip from their kitchen faucets or even just living near an outdated stormwater system. Part of the problem with water infrastructure is that it is expensive and no one sees it. Out of sight, out of mind. But that only lasts until there is a major problem. Like in Texas, where over 15 million people were temporarily left without access to clean water. Well, we have to stop waiting for our infrastructure to fail us before we invest in it. We cannot wait around for another crisis to sicken our families before we decide to put real state and federal dollars into rebuilding our drinking water and wastewater systems. Imagine if your child was one of those who'd gotten sick because legislators refused to take action on such an obvious crisis. Imagine if you had to be the one to get your newborn to sip on water too opaque to see through. We should not let even one more parent suffer through that worst-case scenario. Access to clean water is a human right, and every American deserves access to clean water, no matter their zip code, the color of their skin, or the size of their income. It is long, long past time that we turn that right into a reality by investing in the kinds of projects that would put Americans back to work rebuilding our crumbling water infrastructure. We must dramatically increase federal investments to provide every family access to the most basic human needs, clean water. That's one reason why I introduced the Drinking Water and Wastewater Infrastructure Act of 2021. If our nation truly wants to build back better, we can't only pour money into fixing our roads while failing to repair the pipes beneath them. Because water infrastructure is infrastructure. Everyone needs it in every corner of this country. My bipartisan bill would invest significant federal dollars to help states, communities, and schools fix and upgrade aging water systems to improve water quality while fostering economic growth throughout the country. Our legislation seeks to reauthorize and enhance state revolving loan funds, which are the most effective tools we have to provide states with federal investments that empower local leaders to modernize water systems, implement lead reduction projects, and rebuild stormwater overflow infrastructure. Our bill would also continue getting shovels into the ground and support quality jobs by reauthorizing the WIFIA financing program, an initiative that already helped finance nearly $20 billion for water infrastructure projects and created 49,000 jobs in just under 7 years, and would provide more than $700 million in lead testing and reduction programs, in part through a program very close to my heart, the Voluntary Lead Testing in Schools and Child Care Facilities Program, expanding it to go beyond testing to include lead reduction.
Senator's time has expired.
Mr. President, I ask that the remainder of my remarks be entered into the record.
Without objection.